We're back with another user webinar. I'm Ilana Shabtai, Director of Marketing, and we're here with Chaya David, Head of Product Knowledge and Training at AutoLeadStar. And today's webinar is going to be focused on the ins and outs of AutoLeadStar reporting. It's so important to have data transparency, reporting transparency, and so we want to take you through today every step of the way how we show our data and how we provide the reports to you so that you can be on top of and in control of your data at AutoLeadStar. So let's just head over, we'll do the agenda, and then I will kick it to Chaya.
Thanks, very excited.
So we'll talk about data transparency and where our values lie with this at AutoLeadStar. And then we'll do a deep dive of connect reporting. We'll do a deep dive of acquire reporting. And then we've also created a platform performance page so that you can see an overview of how the two connect since we are a platform, and group performance. We have a lot of clients that have multiple rooftops, and we want to provide a really easy way for them to see just overall performance of each rooftop so that they can compare, but also on a group level aggregated data.
Right.
So transparency, as we mentioned at AutoLeadStar, is very important to us. And so I'm going to go through these bullet points here, and Chaya will jump in and expand a little bit on that. The first one being that reporting really needs to be clear and inclusive, and that's something that we believe in at AutoLeadStar and we provide to you. So Chaya, you can expand on that a little bit for our attendees today.
Yeah, so I mean, like Ilana said, definitely you want to have reporting that's clear. It doesn't do anyone any good if you can't understand what you're looking at. But what's interesting by us is that we are always optimizing for leads, for quality leads. And so even though that's our North Star and that's what our products are optimizing for, we're still going to show you, the clicks or the impressions if we're talking about ads, or the interactions if we're talking about Connect, our on-site engagement tool. We're going to show you the metrics that help to complete the story. Even if they're not what we're optimizing for, they're still really important leading metrics that help us to sort of suss out trends, and then of course, give you a better understanding and context for the numbers you're looking at.
Yeah, and reporting is updated daily, and I think multiple times a day too, right, Chaya?
Yes, it depends on which reports. Some of the acquire reports are pulled multiple times a day, but minimally all our reporting is pulled daily, and then also pulled back 30 days. So that means if I'm looking at a report on November 15th, then I'm going to be able to see data, accurately pulled back through October 15th. And then tomorrow, if it's November 16th, then it will pull back through October 16th. So we're constantly pulling back 30 days every single day. And the reason, of course, is because of metrics like view through and click through window, and then obviously the more important leading metrics for us being leads. You don't always get to know when somebody clicks on an ad, converts on your site, enters the CRM. That could happen over time. So we always want to make sure we're including as much of that kind of context as possible to accurately portray what the performance is.
Thank you for that clarification, because I was going to say, I think that context is so important for dealers to really be able to understand the impact of their marketing, because it's not just, okay, did I get any leads today? It's really, what do the past 2 weeks look like? What, investment brought the leads? And that's something that you have to look at over time.
Right.
And that's a great transition to the next, which is reporting down to an ad level. So knowing exactly where and how your money was spent down to the very ad, not just, campaign or ad group. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really important, this is a clustering of several important bits of data that are going to help you to understand how your performance looks. Basically from the highest level, we're going to talk about the performance of objectives, of ad bundles, and then down to the individual ads. And in order for us to do that, we're drawing all the data we have available to us. We're pulling in data from Google Ads as well, and we're able to tell you exactly how much money was spent on this particular ad. Now, mind you, we're creating hundreds of ads for every account, so it's really powerful to be able to see every single ad exactly what was spent, the actual ad spent on that ad, and the performance, the impressions, the clicks, and obviously any leads associated with that ad. So it's really powerful, it's granular, and you'll be able to do analysis on several different levels, depending on what your dealership wants to look at and how your marketing team is assessing performance.
And another thing here that I think is pretty unique, although I think Google and Facebook do this, but pretty unique to the auto industry, is that not only can you play with the date ranges so that you have that transparency in terms of how you're performing at any date and time, but you also in AutoLeadStar have the date range comparison. So if you want to do compared to previous period, month over month or year over year, you're going to be able to calculate your performance and see and compare your performance with just the click of a button, which not only I think hits on transparency, but also convenience and time. And so that definitely saves time.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I think that our knee-jerk reaction sometimes is to look at our kind of monthly cycle in automotive, and we see things on a 30-day basis, and we want to know, okay, well, how are we doing this month? Okay, well, let's look at last month. But sometimes for some metrics, that's not the best way to look at the data. If you want to actually see performance, if you're talking about lead haul, for example, then you probably want to look at other windows of time as well. Most notably, how did you do this month last year? Because we all know about seasonality, and we all know, sometimes there's economic fluctuation. We've seen a lot of that the past few years. Right now, we're looking at, unprecedented inventory shortages with all this chip business. So not just looking at what happened the week before, the month before, but this feature allows you to look at what were you doing last year this time to get a more complete picture and really have what to compare to.
Great. And then we'll talk about this for 3 more points, and then we'll go into the dashboard a bit and screenshots into the actual product. But let's review these really quickly as well. Conversion events fired in Google Analytics. This is probably one of our most frequently asked questions, so I'm glad that this is up here.
For sure. I think it's really important. Obviously, we have thorough and in-depth reporting, but oftentimes dealers have certain events set up already in Google Analytics, and they want to be able to see performance in Google Analytics as well. So we make that easy. We're already firing the events, and all you have to do is set up the events in Google Analytics. We're firing that data. So for our conversions, for example, in Connect, you can see them and you can see how they're measured in Google Analytics as well as our own dashboard. There's also information within Google Analytics related to the ad performance. So being able to kind of have that backup and also make sure it fits into your stack of reporting that you already have set up. Maybe you do some in-house analysis. It's really important to have that flexibility and transparency.
I'll also add here that I think it's important to also note that the conversion events are real conversions. So they're set up if there's only someone identified, versus some of the other cases that we've seen where it's been a VDP view or a page scroll. That is not a conversion in our mind, and it's important to be transparent about what actually you define as a conversion. So not only are we going to be reflecting that in Google Analytics, but the conversions and the leads are going to be real leads that are no longer anonymous to you. So that's something that I think is important to note here as well.
Right.
And then here that leads us into the leads from DNI verified by Google.
Right. So, when we have an option, we have a feature in our dashboard where if dealerships want us to track the conversions taking place over the phone ups, right, that are coming from acquire, that we're driving traffic to their website, and then these people are picking up the phone and calling the dealership. So we're not only able to make sure that the attribution is clear, but we can set up DNI, the dynamic number insertion. It's a feature that Google provides, and we sync up with it, and we'll set it up for a dealership so that we can make sure all of the reporting around phone ups is clear as well. And so Google verifies phone ups using DNI in a number of different ways. You can say, if a call lasts more than 30 seconds, or if the number actually went through. There's lots of different criteria. So we make sure that we're in line with Google's best practices when we set that up. And we make sure that they're not just hangups, right? Like you can see a list of phone calls which took place, which are more than 30 seconds and, you know, actually connected to something. So I think it's really important to leverage the power and the data that Google's already making available and make sure that the best practices are also integrated with our own products.
Great. And then lastly here, before we jump into more of the product specific reports, event log.
Right, I love this one. This one, basically we have an event log in Acquire, and it's able to show you all of this wonderful, really exhaustive information about actions that are taking place, events that are taking place on your account. When you leverage AI, there's so many things happening. There's so much machine learning going on. A human can't possibly do all of it and be all of that. So everything from a template change to a budget shift to adding or pausing an objective, this is all noted and clearly put out in the event log so that all users, our dealerships, they have logins, they can go in and see who's pausing this or how was this template changed and when, and you can basically back out and look at performance from those actions and activities. I think it's really powerful, and wrapping up our points about transparency here, it's one of the ways that we're trying to make sure our dealers see what's kind of happening behind the black box. You can actually look at what is the system doing on your behalf on a daily, even an hourly basis.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite features as well.
So let's dive in now to some of the reporting that utilizes all of this that we just spoke about. I'm going to start with Connect. And so we have a few different types of reports available in Connect, right? Our on-site engagement tool, our conversion optimization on the dealership website, and there's a lot of really rich data here. This is an overview report. It's going to provide those top level metrics for more of like an overall performance view. I call this sometimes the GM view, where you just want to go in, get the quick hits, see what things look like. And then if you see any anomalies or have questions, that's where you can dive in from here. This page of reporting has about 6 sections, and we're going to start talking about each one really quickly. There's the overview section, which you can see on top. It has some of those high level numbers. Again, as leads are our North Star, we're going to focus our reporting around that. But there's also the inputs, you know, like your traffic, that are really important to put out there. And obviously the engagement rate and performance numbers that you're just going to want to be able to see maybe on a daily or weekly basis to get a feel for how things are going. Then the performance over time. Like we said, you know, you can adjust and look at this on a daily, weekly, or monthly view, and you can even pick different dimensions to look at. We, of course, are always looking at leads over time, but you can look at there's a few different ways to see this data. So it's nice to get in there and play with it. And then, of course, there's Connect engagement, which you can break that down into how is the chat. If you have our chat bot, how's the chat engaging with the shoppers on your website? And what's really cool is that the time to conversion, right? Like if you have the chat bot on your account, we're basically offering a way to help convert your shoppers and answer their questions at the same time. And the best way that we can show you the efficiency of that, of the function that we're providing with the chatbot, is how quickly we can get a shopper to convert, and then it goes into your CRM as a lead, and then your team can follow up with it right there from the chat. And of course the chat transcript is sent into the ADF and you can see it in your CRM, but this leading metric here shows you how quickly somebody was able to convert after chatting with the bot. And then of course we have appointments, which is a module that I think is always key, because at the end of the day, you want those appointments, you want that foot traffic, or you know, the virtual traffic in some cases in your dealership. So these are just some top level metrics that you can see there. I'm going to continue to the second page, which is the continuation of this report. And here you can see in the bottom right and left the top performing models and the top performing modules. The models, excuse me, that's on the right-hand side in this picture. The models are, you know, which of the models listed on your site are actually getting the most conversions. And then of course, a similar measurement for the modules, the different types of engagement that Connect can offer on site. So trade-in, is a top performer, e-price is a top performer, and you can see according to which module you have active on your account, how many conversions and leads you were able to get from that. So this is a really nice report to just look at. I, again, call this a GM view. And it offers a lot of rich data, but you can look at it at a glance, or you can really dive in. It's totally up to you how you use that page. And then we have a deeper level of reporting, which, this is how you're going to spot trends, and you can really dive in. I call this the director of marketing view, because if you're really trying to get into the weeds and see exactly things are, this is the view you'd want to take. So I'm going to share my screen and actually go over some of this in the dashboard itself. Alana, can you see my screen?
Yep, I see the Connect reports.
Fantastic. So as we said earlier, we're always going to have those top level metrics, the website visitors, the percentage of them that are actually engaged with Connect, the leads, all our top level leading metrics up there. And if I scroll down, conversion by interaction type, which I really love, because this is giving you a broad picture of all the different ways that the widget and that Connect are interacting with shoppers on your website. So there's obviously an exit pop-up, which you can see here, to try to have one more chance to engage with people before they leave your site. But there's many other ways Connect is working on site. So the trade and iframe, in page, meaning, these are CTAs on your page, follow up, interactions, and those are of course secondary interactions that Connect can trigger if the shopper takes meaningful actions, other notifications that, we're looking at the behavior of the shopper and we're saying, maybe they'd be interested in this. So there's a notification that could open up. It could show you an offer for a car you might have looked at. And then, of course, clicking on the widget itself, which a lot of shoppers actually just do because they want help to be able to sort of navigate the site and the specials. So I love this section of reporting, the interaction type. Scrolling down further, you can see chat performance, and then, of course, conversions by vehicle type. So a lot of conversions take place on VDPs, and we're helping you to see, are more of those conversions taking place on used or new VDPs? And then, of course, the third donut here is showing you all the other different places on your website where these leads are coming from. It's a nice visual right there. And then, of course, at the bottom, you can see some of the standard stats that you're probably used to seeing in Google Analytics, the day of the week, the time of day where conversions typically take place, and then, of course, conversion by page type. So a lot of these conversions are people actually becoming leads on VDPs, on SRP search pages, or on the home page? This is really a good way for you to evaluate how well your website's performing and where a lot of the engagement is actually taking place.
I'll jump in here, and I think this connects really well to what you were saying when we were opening up the webinar, which is inclusive data. So whether or not all of this is necessarily important to your strategy or the way a dealer will optimize their website, it's all there anyway. So every dealer has their own strategy. Every dealer puts emphasis on certain things that are important to them, whether that's new or used, or inventory focus versus trade-in. So this page really does that.
Right. It speaks to a lot of different priorities. And then, of course, ending off, you can see that there's some cases where you'll have multiple conversions from the same lead. They're really hot. They want your attention. They keep filling out forms. And so we're tracking that as well. So this is just some of the Connect deep dive reporting that we make available. I'm going to hop back into the deck now. Can you see, Alana, the acquire reporting?
Yes.
Amazing. That's what we're moving on to. So again, as with all of our products, we have an overview page. Again, top level metrics, looking at overall performance. For Acquire, this has 5 sections. So the first is the overview section. And here we're looking at, when we're talking about acquisition at the top of the funnel, we're looking at the clicks, the page views, the leads. And I always like to liken these top level metrics to a machine. And you can think about this with Connect as well, but you have your inputs and you have your outputs, and then the measure of efficiency between them. So in our example here, I would say that the input for acquire is your spend, right? The output is your leads. And then the efficiency, the measure of efficiency between the two is going to be your conversion rate. And it goes the same with connect, meaning, you know, you have your traffic to your website, that's your input. And then how many leads Connect is able to help you convert, that's your output. And then the relationship between the two, the efficiency is measured, of course, in the conversion rate. So I like just looking at the top level metrics as sort of an input output type of analogy, if you will. And then of course we have, you know, more of the channel specific reporting at the bottom of that page, where you can see how things are performing by objective or by channel. And you can actually toggle between search, display, and social and see some of the top performing ads within each channel, which I like. It doesn't mean you have to dig through a lot of reporting if you just want a quick view from 10,000 feet. And same thing with how the objectives are performing. You know, how is it broken down between new and used inventory? What am I spending? How many leads do I have? So I really like this quick hit view. And then as with Connect, we have more of a deep dive view. But what we've done with Acquire, because there's so much rich data when it comes to advertising, we've broken it out into these little micro reports. You know, Google Ads and analytics can be overwhelming sometimes, and I really like that each of these reports is very hyper focused on one particular thing. So I'm going to go through a few of these, just 2 or 3 quick hits, because I really like the way that the data is displayed. I think it tells a clear story, and I've spoken to several dealers who are just like, bam, bam, we always go to these reports. So I'm going to hop back into the dashboard for a moment. I'm going to go over to our Acquire reports. And so I'm going to dive first into landing page types, okay? Now you can look at this report as with any others by channel. You can filter, of course, by search, display, or social, whatever channels you want to look at. I'm leaving this for all. So we can just look at kind of an overview of everything. As Alana said earlier, you can always adjust the date range for all of our reporting. And this particular landing page report's really cool because it's showing you how the actual pages on your website are receiving the traffic Acquire is sending. So, you know, you might have ads running that are advertising financing, F&I related copy, and they're sending people to your finance page. So you can see how that breaks down. The ads that are sending to your home page, the ads sending to service or VDPs, and the breakdown of your traffic in this nice little donut. I really enjoy. And you can also see when you hover over it, the number as well as the percentage of traffic. And same thing with the leads, right? On the right-hand side here, you can see what page types on your website leads are actually converting on. So incentives and VDP are always high performers, but you can see there's still a significant amount of conversions taking place on your service pages, on your finance pages. So this is one of those really cool reports that's hyper-focused, but it gives you a lot of rich data. I'm going to go back one and just show you another that I like. The leads broken down by type and source. Again, you can always look at the date range or filter by channel. But this is a report that really helps you to understand how performance looks according to what actions the shoppers are taking. So for example, are you getting leads from calls on ads, right? So if you have, I mean, we automatically are setting up an Acquire call extensions, right? So you know if you're getting leads from those extensions, or you can see if they're coming onto the site and filling out forms, or if Connect is engaging and facilitating that conversion. And then you can get a breakdown by source as well. You can say, are they coming from calls or from ads? So I really like being able to just look at how are the leads actually split up. It's a nice way to look at performance. So I'm going to hop back over to the deck, but this is something that if you haven't spent much time in here, I suggest to all of our dealerships, just poke around. It's really rich data. It really tells a nice story and helps to understand where the performance is coming from and what's really driving value for your dealership. These icons here, by the way, just indicate the reporting available for which channels. landing pages are not, you know, it's not a report that includes data about Facebook, for example. It's only, you know, including Google ads, but you can see based on these icons what type of data will be included in the report. So now I'm going to move on really quick to our platform performance. As Alana said earlier, I think this is one of the most like valuable reports you could look at when you're going into your dashboard or when you're checking on really a holistic view of your marketing efforts. So this page has 5 sections. Overall, you know, performance, and then it goes down, you know, the funnel, the way that you would look at a marketing funnel. So we start with our acquisition and then our on-site engagement. And then we're going to go to the lead highlights in the lower corner, which I'll explain in a moment, and then some of the ad highlights. So we had a whole user webinar about this, so I'm not going to get too detailed. You can always ask your DXM to send you a copy of that. It was a really great webinar, but just, you know, high level, quick hits here. We have our leading indicators here. You can see on the left, acquire, going through to connect. How is that performing? Where are the leads coming from? I really like this objective view because you can see in the bar graph of the leads who converted from a competitor objective, how many went on to convert on Connect, right? How many of those actual leads was Connect able to facilitate the conversion for? So I really like looking at the connection between the products and sort of the value that the whole platform is giving you here. And then you can see the reverse of that for Connect. You can look at conversions by module. So what modules do you have live on your site on Connect? And you can say, of the conversions which took place on the e-price module, how many of those leads were actually sent to your site from acquire traffic? So I really like the overlay of data in these two. And then of course you can see some really interesting lead information here on the lower left-hand corner of the platform performance. These are leads that I like to call like full funnel conversions, okay? So Adelaide, you can see, came in from a new inventory objective, like an actual ad for new inventory, came to the site and converted on the chat module, which is a really cool way to look at the entire sort of footprint of how these different products have come together within the platform to engage and make sure that all of your marketing goals are being hit across the funnel. And then you can see on the right-hand side, these are some of the highlights of the best performing ads across different channels. So you can see the best performing on, you know, Facebook, on Google ads, and look at the impressions and clicks and so on. So that's the platform performance page. And now we'll take a quick look at the group reporting page. And I'll just point out here that if you're a single rooftop dealership and you don't have more than one of your rooftops on the platform, you won't actually see this. This is reporting that's really only open for groups. And it's divided into 2 sections. Again, we have our overview section with our leading metrics. And what's cool is that underneath that, the second section is listing all the different stores in your group and the performance by each store. The data on top is aggregated to just give you a 10,000-foot view, but then you can dive into each store's performance and you can actually see, okay, what does it look like if I want to see, you know, one store's acquire performance or one store's connect performance? How is this channel working for me? How is this objective working for me? I just want to go back for a moment and make sure that it's clear. Alana had mentioned earlier the comparison, the date comparison feature. So you can see the gray up down arrows, the percentage increase or decrease, that will appear if you have that comparison feature turned on, which is awesome because you can basically say, I want to compare performance from last year or last month, if you want, to this month or to this year. And you can see it really easily in front of your eyes. It doesn't require you to find another report or to go to another page. And you can see that across the group and platform performance page. So I've just thrown a lot of reporting data at you, but it's really exciting to be able to see all of the different types of data that we're making available and all the different ways that, you know, we're able to relay the story of your success as dealerships using the AutoLeadStar platform. So I know that we're running short on time. A few people have submitted questions in the chat, so we'll make sure to follow up and answer with those individually. But I just want to thank everybody for their time. And of course, we'll make this recording available, and you can reach out to your DXMs as well to get the previous recording mentioned for platform performance page if you want more information about that. So thank you so much, Alana, and thank you to our dealers for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, that was great. Again, like you mentioned, there's a lot of other bells and whistles when it comes to reporting in the AutoLeadStar dashboard, including event log and things like that. So please do get familiar, play around, and ask your DXMs. I think it's a really great way to take back control of your data as a dealer.
Awesome. Wonderful. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.